Am I the a-hole for not taking in my parents' adopted son? I'm 28-year-old male. I had average childhood. My parents provided everything but nothing extra. And when I was 17, they decided to adopt another child, Chris, 7-year-old male. I went to university at 18 and moved out, and my parents told me they could not financially help me because they have another child now. I admit I resented that. I had to work and go to college. For the first 2 years, I couldn't get into university dorms, so I had to rent, which was much more expensive. I can't count how many times I hadn't eaten for 2 to 3 days. It was horrible, and I consider that the worst experience of my life. It got easier after I got into dorms, but I still couldn't afford anything extra, like going to the party and such. In all these years, I slowly distanced myself from my parents, and I don't see Chris as my brother. To this day, we see each other max 2 times a year, even though we live 25 minutes away. They don't even know I married my partner. This happened at Christmas dinner. In the middle of dinner, my parents told me that Chris is going to university in the same area I live in and asked if he could stay with me. They would pay for rent and expenses. Now, I live in a townhouse in the middle of all faculties. I'm in prime spot. I don't rent rooms, but if I would, rent would be highest in the city. I was triggered when my parents said they would pay for him. So I said that they can't afford to rent a room in my place and to look elsewhere. All family there were shocked by my response, and my parents were somewhat taken aback. Since then, a couple of family members told me I'm an a-hole for not helping my family. My parents texted me to reconsider and help my brother, and that he is very upset his big brother won't help him. I told them he is their son, but he is not my brother, and I have no obligation towards him. Even Chris texted me and begged me to reconsider, but I just ignore him, and everyone else for that matter. The problem is my partner, who is good, kind soul and is starting to get to me. So, what do you think? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your partner and everyone else needs to back off. Your parents didn't care about you guys being family until they saw money to be made. To your partner, I think you need to be very, very clear. Having this person in my house will hurt me. I am not interested in letting you or anyone else hurt me. Yes, you may need to let her in more so she can understand your perspective. I made this mistake with my husband always pushing back for a better relationship with his family. But after 16 years together, things have revealed themselves. I don't push back anymore. I should have listened from the start and simply taken his word about his family. Not the a-hole. Your parents or other family did not help you. You don't have to help them. Your adopted brother is not your responsibility. They are willing to pay for him, so he will be okay either way. I agree with this. OP, you need to ask them and the family why was it okay to cut you off from any assistance, let you starve, and offer no support. But it falls on you to provide all this for Chris? Now, I agree Chris probably didn't understand at a time how they treated you. Maybe you need to talk to him. He's at an age that he'll understand. Maybe not agree, but talking to him like an adult and having a conversation about what you went through would be a good first step. Same with your partner. They need to understand that this being pushed on you will cause a lot of hurt and resentment of all parties, including your feelings towards them and your relationship, if you don't feel supported and solidarity in your decision. This is your family, so as much as they are entitled to an opinion, you should have final say. Your parents or Chris are more than capable of a plan B. And remember, all you had to do was say, no, it's not possible to have them or anyone else live with us. Sadly, I think offering up that rent would be too expensive gave them hope or the glimmer of opportunity that it's possible but with a price tag, unfortunately, which will lead to the barrage of calls and texts you don't want, thinking bullying you into it will be the ticket to get what they want. Your feeling be damned. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother I will help him at his children but not his wife? My brother and I were adopted into the same family. He's white and I'm a dark-skinned black woman. Our parents were an interracial couple, and our family had some unique challenges over the years. But our parents did their very best by us and tried their hardest to get us as much information as possible with our birth families. It was a little easier with mine because I was orphaned, and I had 2 older living birth relatives who were just incapable of caring for me and needed care themselves. My brother had a very different story though, as he had no information at all. When he was 20, he met his wife and they married after 2 years of dating. She always gave me bad vibes. Around the time they got engaged, he told me she kept bringing up his birth family and how he should find them before the wedding. I had told him he didn't have to do anything, but he knew mom and dad would help him and he'd have my support. Then she went behind his back to find him via DNA, and it was a crap show. But for some reason, he forgave her and decided to meet the people, which she was thrilled about. It was around that time she told me to get lost, because he had sisters who were actually related to him and not a, you can guess the slur, who always made his life more difficult. She told me I was crazy if I thought I'd be in her wedding photos. She also said our parents should get used to having only one child. My brother had already started to pull away by then, and because I was hurt and angry, I never told him what went down between his now wife and I. I chose to not attend his wedding, but I know from our parents that the day was very messy. 6 years of no contact happened, and then he reached out and apologized for letting anything come between us. We have been back on speaking terms for over a year now. It took a while, but we are doing so much better. I always loved my brother, but was hurt by the stuff that went down between us and me and his wife. A few days ago, my brother's family ended up in a shelter. He lost the job he had for many years and took a huge pay cut in a new one, at the same time that his former landlord decided to illegally kick them out by changing the locks. My brother did contact a lawyer, but nothing is as fast as they show in TV and the movies, and they have no place to go. I live in the same city, which would allow him to keep what job he has now at least, and so he asked if they could stay. I said I would help him and the kids and they could stay, but his wife is not welcome in my home. He told me he would take that, which did surprise me some. His wife is angry. She came after me about separating her children from her and how unhealthy it will be for them to see her in a crap hole, while they're safe and comfortable with me. She called me all kinds of names, like petty and witchy and an a-hole. But it was the comment about the kids that got me questioning. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Nope. Let's call her what she is, a racist. She can't call you names to your face and encourage your brother to cut ties, then want to be looked after because it suits her. I would have told him and would still suggest you tell him now, because if she is bringing up the kids to have the same attitude, then nothing gets resolved. You have set a boundary. Keep to it. Opie should be careful. She doesn't know how much brother has changed. He might try to sneak sister-in-law in, or she might constantly be visiting because she wants to be near her children and husband if the brother and kids move in. A lot of guilt tripping can happen for the sake of the children. Not the a-hole at all. That woman is hideous, and I hope this is the first step in your brother divorcing her and taking full custody of the children. If you haven't already, it's time to explain to your brother what she said and why you refuse to let her into your life. Provide a safe and loving home for your brother and his kids. Be a model for a loving and secure family relationship. It may be the first time they see a woman give them consistent loving attention, because I doubt their mom is doing it. Yeah, I would have told a brother the minute it happened. Yeah, that I never told him is some TV drama BS. Oh my god, I'm about to cry imagining my brother allowing me to marry some racist witch. And then going no contact for 6 years because he thought the conversation was too awkward. I kinda believe the brother has to know she's a horrible person at least. Maybe not exactly what she said, but you know she's made some crazy comments about Opie in front of the brother. Not the a-hole. She can't expect you to help her after she treated you like garbage and outed herself as a racist. She brought this 100% upon herself, and she also sounds like a bad influence for the children. She's the a-hole, not you. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my son's wedding after he denied his stepmom a mother-son dance? My son Jordan is 27. His stepmom Natalie came into his life when he was 16. His mom had passed away when he was 13. Jordan never really considered Natalie as his mom. He refused to let her get close and shut down every attempt to have a close relationship. He even moved in with his aunt months after Natalie and I got married. As years went by, they started reconciling and seeing each other more often, and he invited us to his wedding, which took place days ago. We got there and the atmosphere was great, until later when I found out that Jordan had denied Natalie a mother-son dance and instead chose his aunt to dance with him. Natalie told me this minutes later, and I couldn't help feel irritated and quite upset. I decided to get up and leave, and we both left. I got a call from my family after they saw me leave, and Jordan called later, and I told him why I did it. He got mad and said it was his wedding, and that his aunt is basically a mother to him, and said that Natalie shouldn't expect special treatment. I said it's not special treatment, but a tradition. Besides that, he hurt her feelings for no reason, other than for the sake of being malicious. He got offended and accused me of ruining his day and causing a scene. Now the family sided with him and said I shouldn't have left no matter what. Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. Your wife has never been his mother, and he has every right to not have a mother-son dance with her. I strongly suspect this isn't the first time you've chosen your wife over your son, and it's probably why he moved in with his aunt. If you want any kind of relationship with your son going forward, I very much recommend both you and your wife apologize for throwing a tantrum at his wedding. For Opie's son to have moved out after only a few months, I have a feeling the reason is because Opie and his wife were trying to force him to accept the stepmom as his mom right from the start. And after all that happened, Opie's son invites them both to his wedding, and Opie has the audacity to demand a mother-son dance? Then they leave when they don't get their way. Wow, there goes any chance of them mending their relationship. You're the a-hole. Sounds plausible. I've heard similar stories on here. The Opie's keeping suspiciously quiet about why his son doesn't like Opie's wife. As it stands, she's not Opie's son's mother. She didn't raise him and he doesn't like her. Yet Opie and his wife expect her to be given the mother-son dance. The sheer entitlement of it is astounding. Take it from me, my wife has never mistreated him in any way whatsoever. Matter of fact, she even contributed towards his education, although he has no idea, because if he knew, he wouldn't have accepted it. That right there should tell you how he feels about her. He doesn't see her as a mother, so why would he do a mother-son dance? Seriously, this wasn't done to hurt your wife. Stop trying to force a relationship that doesn't exist and made very clear to you. Wow, you're the a-hole. Way to make your son's wedding all about you and your wife. You already said that he never considered her as his mom. So why in the hell did you expect him to invite her to do something that is traditionally for mothers and sons? For all intents and purposes, his aunt is a hell of a lot more of a mother to him than your wife. You are selfish, entitled people. Disgusting, and you should be ashamed. Welp, any progress that his son and wife made in developing any shred of relationship has been flushed down the drain. Opie's relationship with his son will never recover what it was. He left his own son's wedding. Jesus Christ. If he thought shunning his son at his wedding was okay, it makes me wonder how many times he has done it in the past. Thank goodness his son has a loving family outside of his horrid parent. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to parent my 28-year-old sister because her behavior is my parents' fault and their problem? My parents had my sister Connie, 28 female, when I was 15. And they acted more like grandparents to Connie than actual parents. They spoiled Connie and didn't enforce boundaries. They outright encouraged her to misbehave because they thought it was cute/funny for her to throw tantrums or show people the finger. And my parents have continued to enable Connie well into adulthood. They allowed Connie to drop out of high school because she wanted to get a GED and enter college early. Connie never actually got a GED nor returned to school, and she still lives with my parents and refuses to get a job. My parents will try to nag Connie to earn her GED or get a job, but she just won't, and there's no real consequence if she refuses anyway. If Connie wants something and my parents refuse, she'll scream her head off like a child until our parents give in. My mom is now in her late 60s and my dad just turned 70, and they claim they just don't have the energy to deal with Connie. My parents had a grandparent day with my children and took them to the mall. They brought my children back to my house, stayed for dinner, and then asked to talk with me privately. They explained that they can't deal with Connie's behavior anymore and wanted Connie to move in with me and my family so that I could essentially become Connie's disciplinarian and re-raise her to be a proper adult. I told my parents no. I have 3 actual children. I don't have time to parent a 28-year-old toddler. Nor do I want Connie's tantrums and screaming in my house. My mom tried to make the excuse that I need to step in because she and my father just don't have the energy to deal with Connie. I was frank with my parents that Connie's behavior is their own fault, and now it's their problem. They weren't always in their late 60s. They had years to step up and stop enabling Connie. I'm certain there's boot camp or other program that exists to get adults like Connie to grow up, but that's their responsibility to arrange and look into. Some family members have reached out to tell me that I was being selfish and childish because my mom and dad were both great parents to me, and now it's supposed to be my turn to support them. Most of these family members understand why I don't want Connie's tantrums and fits around my kids, but said that I should still help my parents look into other options. I don't deny that my mom and dad were great parents to me, but it's still not my responsibility to be a parent to my adult sister. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Tell those family members who are giving you grief that they are welcome to step up. You are too busy raising your own children. Luckily, my aunt-in-law and her children are looking into options for boot camp/programs to get adults to grow up. But they are still telling me that I should be the one helping because I am my parents' child and Connie's sister. We may be family, but I still recognize that Connie is my parents' responsibility. Not the a-hole. Keep your distance. Tell the relatives. It sounds like they are on the right track, but stop blaming you. They are looking to create more family drama and placing blame at the wrong door. Not the a-hole. WTF. She's 28. She can learn to live on her own. Only on paper. She dropped out of high school and has probably not learned at all what independence and responsibilities are. Not just her education development was set back, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were set back in other ways, like mentally or neurologically, compared to others their age. She's going to need therapy to confront that and try to undo that mess. I honestly feel bad for her for how bad Opie's parents failed raising her. Instead of everyone's trying to set her straight other than slight nudges, they just continuously enabled it. Unfortunately, she's got a lot of growing up to do and fast, but it's not Opie's problem, it's his parents. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. In what world is having a 28-year-old move into your home because they are spoiled, entitled, and hard to be around a good solution to the problem? It would not be a good environment for your kids to be around a person like that, and it's good that you did not even consider it. If the family members trying to guilt you into it care so much, why don't they let her come stay with them? Update. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take care of my niece after she called me a slur? Original post. I, 29 male, and my wife, 30 female, have 2 sons, 5 and 3. My wife works a full-time office job, while I work from home with extremely flexible hours. Basically, as long as I meet my deadlines, no one really cares how many hours it took or what time of day I work outside of some Zoom meetings. My sister, 26 female, let's call her Barb, and her husband, 30 male, let's call him Nick, live nearby and work full-time jobs. They have a daughter, 5, let's call her Tracy. Because of my comfortable work schedule, when our kids started going to daycare, we basically decided that I would be dropping off and picking up my niece from daycare, alongside my own kids. I didn't really mind, and I thought it was great for my kids to spend time with their cousin. I get along with Tracy as well, and always thought I was her cool uncle. She's a sweet kid and usually well-behaved. So anyway, most days I bring her and my kids back to our house. I make them snacks or dinner, and in the afternoon or evening, my sister comes to pick them up. A few days ago, the 5-year-old kids were watching Bluey on the TV while I was preparing snacks with my 3-year-old, and I suddenly heard yelling. I rushed over to see what was up, and my son was yelling at Tracy, saying, "My dad's not a girl," while my niece yelled back, "He is. He's a fat." That's like a girl. The word is different in my language, but the meaning holds, as does the distinction between using it versus simply addressing a gay person. I was kind of in shock at first, but I turned off the TV, sat her down, and began explaining that this is a very bad word, and we shouldn't be calling people that. I also told her that, regardless, I'm not a girl. And because this is a bad word, she should apologize to me because we don't act mean to each other in this family. And if I hear this again, I'm going to talk to her parents. And she's going to get in trouble. She said she wouldn't get in trouble because that's what her dad called me, and he's not in trouble. I was stunned. I told her that regardless of what her dad said, it's a very bad word, and she's not to use it with me or in my presence, and that she should apologize anyway because it hurt my feelings. She did because she's a really good kid. We talked some more, and I prodded her about other things her parents said. From what I gathered, getting info out of a 5-year-old is obviously a difficult and unreliable process. Nick, my brother-in-law, told my sister in Tracy's presence that men shouldn't be sitting at home all day doing childcare, that cooking is a woman's duty, as is cleaning and really most of the things I do around my house. He also said that I'm a girl. I interpret this as not really a man, because I do housework and my wife earns more money than me. I explained to Tracy the best I could that men and women could work from an office or from home, and that my wife or Barb working long hours from the office doesn't make them men, and vice versa. But I didn't dwell on it since it's not really her fault. I didn't immediately bring it up with my sister because I figured it would be a difficult conversation, and I didn't want to have it in front of the kids. I also wanted to talk it out with my wife first. I spoke to my wife that evening, and she was really upset as well. I told her that I think I should demand an apology from Nick and my sister, and she agreed. I called my sister and told her what happened, and she said that it's just a word, and I'm blowing it out of proportion, and obviously Nick doesn't dislike me. I said I don't care whether he does or doesn't dislike me. He is talking smack about me behind my back to my niece and to her, and she is apparently very chill about this. Rather than standing up for me, she said that's just how Nick is, and that I should stop being a drama queen. I told her to F off, and that if that was how she felt, she could pick up her own child from daycare. Then I hung up. I know it was really short notice and rude, but I really felt like I was being disrespected by people I had done so much for over the years, and they were my family. My wife said she understood, and that I shouldn't back down until I at least get a proper apology. The next 2 days were a weekend, and there was no daycare. I assumed there would be calls or texts from Barb, but there was nothing. In fact, the suspicious lack of any messages or calls made me think she didn't take my words seriously. And this actually made me even angrier. The calls did come when it was time to pick up Tracy for daycare, and I, obviously, didn't come. I dropped my own kids off and didn't even answer for a while. I know it was petty, but I was stewing for 2 days, and I figured letting Barb stew for a few hours seemed really appropriate and felt really good. Around noon when she called again, I did pick up. I was going to smugly tell her that I was ready for my apology and we could put it behind us, but I didn't get to. Instead, she went off on me about how I was irresponsible and that I flaked, and she was so late for work because of me. I just said, I told you I wasn't going to pick her up. You had 2 days to make arrangements. She kept yelling at me, so I hung up again. She kept calling and sending me texts about picking Tracy up from daycare, to which I said I will not be. Then I stopped replying. When I came to pick up my kids, Tracy was expecting me to take her as well, but I didn't, which was really rough on both of us. I know it's not her fault, and she suddenly doesn't get to go over to our place to play and have snacks. But at the same time, I didn't want to just let this thing go. I felt like I deserved an apology, and still do, so I explained that her mom and I were fighting, but I'll pick her up again when we work it out. She obviously didn't take it well because she's 5, but I apologized, took my kids, and left. A bit later, I got a call from my mom. Barb roped her into picking up Tracy, but my mom is disabled, so she was having a really hard time with Tracy. She asked me why I was being mean to Barb. I told her everything, expecting her to take my side, but instead, she also pulled the "you know how Nick is" card. That evening, I got a call from Nick himself. I was hesitant to answer, but I did on the off chance that I was actually about to get that apology. Nope. Instead, he told me my behavior was causing Barb great distress, and that we're family, so how could I do this to my own sister? I told him that since we're family, how could he talk crap about me to his kid, whom I take care of daily? He said he was only joking and that it was all in good fun. I told him it was neither good nor fun for me, and I wanted my apology. He blew up on me, calling me a fat and a hysterical little girl. I told him to get lost and that I was done with him. Then I hung up. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. I don't think I've ever commented on this sub before, but that crap just struck a chord with me. First of all, not the a-hole, but let me just say I deal with a lot of comments like that. I also work from home on a very flexible schedule, so I cook, clean, do the shopping, etc., and I love it. It gives my day structure. My girlfriend is always happy, and to me, it just feels natural. I've been on my own for a long time, never lived in filth, and I hate guys who do that. So yeah, I get a lot of comments about being the bitch of the household, my girlfriend wearing the pants, yada yada. You know what worked for me? I started acting like the manly man they wanted me to be, but only towards them. Hey brother, I need help with this. Nah man, I'm really tired from my manly job. Can't do it. Hey, I really needed to talk and haven't seen you in so long. Talk? No, dude, best I can do is tell you that it is what it is and it'll sort itself out. Some people picked up on it, others haven't. But my point is, just be what they want you to be for a while and see how quickly they change their tune. Eventually, you'll have a chance to throw it back in their face. I hate people like that. I totally get you, man. I used to work an insanely demanding job when I was fresh out of college, and it just brought me no joy at all. Like, my wife really loves her career, she's crushing it, and I'm super happy for her. But for me, my job isn't my calling. My job is my job, and I do it well. I just do it so I can afford fun stuff for the people I love. The time I spend with my wife and kids is what it's all about for me. Edit. The angle of Nick actually wanting Barb to quit her job is not one I considered, but now I think it might actually have merit, and it makes me very worried for her. I will also make certain to stress to Tracy that I love her and that none of this is her fault. Thank you all. Now for the first update. Just to clarify a few things. My dad died from a heart attack 2 years ago, which came as no surprise because he smoked a lot and lived a pretty unhealthy life. It wasn't his first heart attack either. He was a great grandpa and a great dad before that, and right up to the end. But his death left my mom alone, and she doesn't work. My mom has MS, which is mostly steady, but slowly gets worse over time. It flares up occasionally and is made worse by stress, which she's going through now. A flare-up often means the level she gets back to isn't quite what it was before, so we mostly try to keep her stress-free. My dad had life insurance so her house is paid for, and she had a little money. But there's also a caretaker coming over 3 times a week to clean, cook, do shopping, etc., which she can't afford, so my wife and I pay for it. As I mentioned in a comment on the original post, my wife and I are financially better off than Barb and Nick. They have a fancy house and fancy cars, but they also have a mortgage and loans. So, the great response I got made me think about this again, and I thought about how I could stand my ground without giving up on Tracy altogether. I figured there was no perfect solution, and I had to settle on something. I took the day off work because I just needed to process and deal with this. One comment on the original post really got to me about how someone would feel in Tracy's place. I just can't do it to her now. I know this isn't the update some of you wanted, but I just can't. I love her like she's one of my own, and my kids do as well, and it's not her fault. I unblocked my sister because, obviously, if I'm going to be interacting with her child, she needs to be able to reach me. I talked to my mom during the day, and she was, again, distraught about having to pick Tracy up, which is pretty hard on her. I told her I was willing to do it, but I was coming over and she was going to have to hear me out, to which she agreed. I talked to her for a long time, avoiding snark and lashing out this time, and just explained that how serious Nick was, or how he is, doesn't matter. I used that rocking the boat analogy someone linked in the comments, and I further stressed my point by saying that it shouldn't matter if I was justified or not in getting upset. I am her child, and if something upsets me, it at least warrants giving me the benefit of the doubt before siding against me. Eventually, it seemed to come through. She apologized, and we hugged it out. I think she got it. She's not a very confrontational person, and generally tries to keep the peace, but this time she went about it the wrong way. I'm not saying I'm not mad, but she's my mom, and she apologized. I explained to her that she shouldn't be covering for me because that means I have no leg to stand on when confronting Nick and Barb, and she was receptive to it. I texted my sister that we needed to talk, and that I'd drop Tracy off at their place tonight, to which I got a stoic thumbs up. I picked Tracy up from daycare today, and she was overjoyed. She was actually a little possessive of me, staying by my side all afternoon instead of running off to play, which was cute, but also made me feel bad a little, because that's the impact of me not picking her up. I explained as best I could that she's not in trouble, and I'm not angry with her, but I am angry with her parents, and we need to work that out. I told her I do my best not to stop picking her up anymore, which made her really happy. I dropped her off in the evening, and once she was in bed, I sat down to talk with Barb and Nick. I told them flat out that Mom wasn't going to be covering for them anymore, and if they didn't let me finish what I had to say, I would get up and leave, and they could find new arrangements for Tracy. I didn't mean it, But they didn't need to know that. They weren't happy, but they were willing to listen. So that's progress, or at least the threat worked. I explained that this was the situation now. I don't need them to mean their apology, but I sure as heck am going to need one. This is about principle now. I have spent years taking care of their child, and if they wanted to be a-holes, I wasn't going to do it for free. So here's how things go now. 1. I am no longer going to be dropping her off in the morning until further notice. There was no excuse for the way Nick acted, and it needed to have some lasting impact. 2. I am no longer going to be paying for family outings and family vacations. It's a man's job to support his family, so good luck with that. The exception is Tracy, who is always welcome. 3. If I hear any more BS being talked about me behind my back, I'm going to start charging them for my service. My plan was to dangle the thing they want, childcare, restoring it, but at the same time giving some repercussions and the threat of things getting hard for them again. I also laid it on pretty thick about how I am a man, so obviously I have my pride and can't have that disrespected, even by my own family, who I obviously love. Don't really consider Nick family, but figured he wouldn't figure that out. Nick was not happy about this, and my sister actually had to take him outside to talk it out without me. But eventually, they agreed to it, and I got my, admittedly, half-hearted apology. I could probably press it further, but I didn't want to risk having to either back down or hurt Tracy again, so I took this. There were no tears and no warm hugs, but I get to walk away with what I wanted, giving them some payback without having to give up my time with Tracy. I still plan to talk to my sister alone about her relationship with Nick and about how she sees me, but I figure I should let things calm down a bit before I do. I know this isn't the resolution some, maybe most of you wanted, but at the end of the day, I need to find a solution I can live with. And for me, this is it. I'll update if anything changes. You are paying for their family vacations? Damn. I thought I was paying for our family vacations, and honestly, because my wife makes more than me and is mostly the one in charge of our finances, she could be considered the one paying, since her income basically keeps us housed and fed, while my salary is the having fun fund. She was actually always very excited about this, since she doesn't have much family remaining, so having Barb, Nick, and Tracy alongside her sisters always made her feel like she had a big family. She felt this justified the expense and made her really happy. Obviously, she is now furious with them, because I don't think either of us will feel comfortable paying for them again, and they probably can't afford to come along. I do hope we will still get to bring Tracy along at least. Talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Mistaking kindness for weakness. Now for the second update a few months later. These past few months, things have been tense, but okay. I haven't gone back on my word about dropping Tracy off, and haven't been paying for meals or anything really. Also, having realized what sort of man Nick is, I've been gently trying to get some alone time with my sister to ask her some questions about their relationship. Has he been isolating her? Is she financially dependent on him? Can she go out with her friends? How jealous does he get? Some of her answers made me a little uncomfortable, but I can't really force her into anything. I'm not trying to excuse the way she treated me, but I think she's in a bad situation herself, and I don't want her to become more isolated than she already is. So, I'm gently trying to guide her down the right path, dropping hints like, "Isn't this like what your really bad ex used to do?" and the like. I don't think she quite realizes how deep into this she is, but I also know from past experience that forcing her into anything will mostly cause her to pull away and become more stubborn. So, I'm trying to guide her to the right conclusion gently, while making sure she knows she has a place to go and someone to support her if she ever chooses to break things off. Nick hasn't really been anything with me. I don't think his feelings about me have changed much, but he's basically avoiding interacting with me and has to work a lot when we get together as a family, which I think might be the best outcome for everyone involved. Tracy has been sweet. She's slowly learning to read alongside my oldest, and she still enjoys bad words, just less mean bad words now. Poop has been a hit. She's now a big fan of the Tom Cardy song, "Have You Checked Your Butthole?" We've been pretty good about making clear the difference between rude words and hurtful words. Over the holidays, we went on a trip. At first, Barb and Nick were probably shocked that I was serious when I said they were welcome to join us. But I wasn't paying for anyone but Tracy if they chose to send her along. I talked it over with Barb, leaving it up to her how to convey that to Nick, who, as stated, was avoiding me. I assume he didn't take it well, but I don't really have a way of knowing for sure. Barb, for her part, tried doubling down, trying to get me to cave. But I stood my ground. I said I wasn't paying for things, and I meant it. I explained again that this wasn't about a specific trip, but about the fact that I used to believe they genuinely and unconditionally loved me, and that is just no longer the case. It's not something I can just unfeel. I need this to feel like I am standing up for myself, and she can choose to respect my feelings and my decision or be angry, but I won't back down on this. The only choice that is up to her is to come on her own dime or not come, and to send Tracy along with us or not if she chooses not to come. She ended up sending her along, and we had a blast. My wife seems much relieved to no longer have to put up with Nick as often. She apparently had him pegged from the get-go, but wanted me to come to my own conclusions, and was hoping he wasn't as bad as he initially seemed to her. She's glad I'm standing up for myself and that we still get to hang out with Tracy. I still hope someday Barb comes to her senses about her situation, and I will fully support her if she does. Despite not quite being over what she either thought about me, or at least didn't stand up for me to Nick about. But she's still my family. Regardless, thank you to everyone for your support and advice. Last story. Am I the a-hole for taking my niece lunch after her mom didn't do anything for her birthday? So, I 34 female and my husband 38 male travel a ton. We hardly ever get to see family because we've been all over the place. Bora Bora, Paris, Hawaii, Rome, Japan, China, you name it. We were all set to go to Moorea next, but I found out I was pregnant, and my husband thought we should settle down for a bit until the baby starts school or something. We were really looking forward to it, but then I had a miscarriage in September, and I was crushed. I can't shake the feeling that it was my fault that my baby boy's gone. So, we haven't traveled anywhere since, because I just can't handle it emotionally. My big sister 35 female has 4 kids, 13, 3, and 8-month-old twins. And I love them all. I see them every week now that we're not traveling. My niece just turned 13, and my sister is spending all her money on my nephew's birthday coming up. She's booked a big party at Chuck E. Cheese and is taking him and his buddies to Disney World, while my niece will be babysitting the babies. I told my sister I get that she needs to focus on my nephew's birthday, but I didn't think it was fair for my niece to not get anything special. She snapped back that I wouldn't understand since I'm not a mom, and that really hurt. So I decided to do something nice and bought some sushi and candy for my niece. I texted her to find out when her lunch break was, and when she said 11:45 a.m., I made sure to be there. I brought a huge 50-piece sushi tray and goodie bags. I made sure that the girls got lip gloss, nail files, hair clips, pink pens, and mini notepads, while the boys got blue pens, blue poppets, controller-shaped erasers, and mini notepads. I paid for everything myself. I gave any leftover sushi to the other teachers. My niece was thrilled. She couldn't stop smiling, and she told me I made her the happiest girl ever. When she got home, my sister called me up saying I made her look like a bad mom and that I made her feel terrible. She told our mom, and of course Mom said I crossed a line. She added that just because I lost my baby doesn't mean I can take someone else's joy. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Why is your sister going so over the top for a 3-year-old's birthday and ignoring a 13-year-old's birthday? I have kids, and I'll entirely admit to doing big parties for their 3rd birthdays, but we've always made it a point to keep things even. Both kids get big parties, or neither kid gets a big party. It's that simple. That said, a big party and a Disney World trip with all your friends is ridiculously over the top, particularly when you're doing absolutely nothing for your other kid. The favoritism is just insane. I'm guessing that the 13-year-old has a different dad from the 3-year-old and is treated as a second-class citizen in the family, which, stinks. Your sister is the a-hole. She looks like a bad mom because she is a bad mom. My niece was adopted when she was 2, so she does have a different dad. But my sister was never in a relationship with him. That is something to ask your mom, unless she is really showing favoritism to her real blood grandchildren. She isn't speaking to me. I've asked her several times if we could just sit and talk with some coffee and just talk about the situation. But nope. She just keeps saying, "You don't care about me anymore because you won't just stop sulking about a child you never met and just have another baby." A-hole for losing it on my husband on the day of his family reunion? I'm a 35-year-old female married to a 38-year-old man. We have been together for 10 years and have 2 children, ages 9 and 5. My husband works very hard. He has multiple jobs throughout the week. Recently, we had a discussion about him taking time off and spending some time together. It is difficult because due to things in his past, he accumulated a lot of debt, which is why he works so much. I work 60+ hours a week and take care of the household and child care responsibilities, while much of his income goes toward paying his debts. I keep up with the household, I do the housework, lawn work, repairs, etc., and he contributes where he can. Within this year, he has taken time off for family and co-worker events, and when he does so, I'm the designated babysitter. Many days after he gets home, he is responsible for his parents. He takes them grocery shopping, fixes things at their house, and does some of their housework. I forgot to mention he is one of 5 siblings, and all 4 of them live close to his parents' home. His parents assist with child care for his siblings, but not for us. I've told him my frustrations about consistently being placed on the back burner. The other day, I lost it. I found out he invited his family to our house for a family reunion last week. I thought he had taken time off of work, but he didn't. The house was a mess, and most of the mess was his. I was expected to clean the house, get the groceries, run the kids to their weekend events, start cooking, and get the reunion set up, as he scheduled it for 4 p.m., the time he gets out of work. The kids are helpful with doing their chores and cleaning their rooms, but I got the house clean. By the time his family started pouring in, I was stewing while he was at work. He asked me why there weren't any clean towels, as he was going to take a shower, and I freaked out in front of his whole family. I ran down the list of how I am always on the back burner for these people, how I am one person, and the one contributing to the household while he works just to pay off his debts. How I have no security or support in this relationship, and how he is like having another child. I also said that all I feel like I'm worth is an occasional whenever he is in the mood. I let it all out. I ended with, "I'm done." I packed a bag and took off. I sat in a parking lot, hysterical. And no, the kids weren't present. They were outside playing. He is a good father to the kids, but as a husband, I feel like I am better off by myself. I have so much resentment toward him. And no, he hasn't called. He texted me, loud and clear, which made me even angrier, because this is exactly how he deals with everything. I'm now feeling like an a-hole for going off and saying all I did, especially in front of his family. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. So, tell him to move in with his parents while he pays off his debt. That way, he can care for them, hang with his friends, take the kids on the weekends, and do whatever he wants to do with no consideration for you. Then you can enjoy your home, your children, and your weekends to relax, all with one less giant child to care for. And then when his debts are paid, you two can sit down and decide if the best course of action is living separate lives, not the a-hole. Seriously, his parents have been fine with exploiting you, so they can benefit from the fruit of Sonny Boy's life. They can have their defective son back. Get child support too. He should finally be using some of his earnings for the kids. The straw that broke the camel's back is real. Unfortunately, the timing was bad for this, but you said things that had to be said, and it didn't do his family any harm to hear them. Now take some deep breaths, go get some food, don't want to be hangry when you go back, Marshal your thoughts, make a plan, and go rescue your kids. Try very hard to kick him out to his family and keep possession of the house for the kids' sake. Decide if him living elsewhere while you do therapy seems plausible. Whatever you do, get a lawyer. He screwed you financially for years. You need professional advice. I hope you are now in a clearer state of mind and you are ready to do what you need to do. I wish you courage and strength, good luck, and keep us updated. Now for the first update. Thank you all for the advice, the kind words, and the tough love. I came here to see if I was the a-hole and was body slammed with a lot of harsh truths. I'm not going to lie. Much of it was cathartic to hear that I'm not the a-hole, but it also hurts to realize that I am being taken advantage of. So here's where I'm at. After the loud and clear text, I was bombarded with phone calls and texts from his family. I sent a message to my husband asking for space and told him that if he cared about me and our relationship, he needed to call off his family. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, except for my children's iPad. I called my mother, sent her some money, and she picked up the kids for a special grandma date and sleepover. Once they were with her, I FaceTimed them and told them I was working. I'm not working. I had a secret rainy day fund and splurged on a nice hotel and spa day. I had a few drinks, cried my eyes out some more, unplugged from everything, and journaled all my feelings. I haven't had time to do any of that in a very long time. After that, I mustered up the courage to open Reddit and read my fate, and wow was I surprised. I was fully expecting a ton of "you are the a-hole" comments. To clear up a few things, I shamefully do not know the full extent of his debts. Much of it was from his parents putting bills in his name. The rest is just mismanagement, credit cards, etc. I took over the finances after I found a letter in the mail saying we were going to lose the house. At the time, I was contributing to the household bills while he handled the finances. I trusted that things were okay. This was after marriage and after kids. We went to counseling because of it, and he admitted he was ashamed and afraid to tell me the truth. I took over about 3 years ago and told him to focus on clearing his debt while I held the household down. I didn't expect it to take this long, and with inflation, everything has just become more expensive and even harder for me. I was supposed to go back to school, but that was put on hold so I could catch up on what we were behind on, hence the 60-plus hour work weeks. I'm a nurse. I work 12-hour shifts, and I take as much overtime as I can. I agree with the comment saying I'm burnt out. I realized this today. I realized that, whether at work or at home, I'm constantly in critical thinking caregiver mode. My job is to care for and problem solve for everyone but myself. To clarify why his family doesn't watch our kids, they did it once, threw it in our faces, and I said never again. I see how they use him. I've said something before, but he always responds with, "One day they won't be here, and I'll wish I could have done more." I told him that's fine, but he has siblings who are equally responsible. Some who don't have spouses or kids who could also contribute. As far as the house and chores go, he does help when he can. Don't jump on me, I just want to be truthful. I think it came across that he comes home and does nothing, but he works up to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. So most of the time, I'm doing the majority of it. As for the trips, yeah, that's a sore spot. He tells me about them, he takes the day off, and it pisses me off. I have to beg for time together, and when we finally get it, we either end up in a fight, I have to plan everything, or we can't get a sitter. So we stay home and he sleeps all day. And to be honest, I'm so full of resentment that it's almost too little too late. When I'm around him, I'm just so angry. He says I always have an attitude, that he's trying, but that nothing is ever good enough. So, I just stopped. I accepted my fate, hence the blow-up. I haven't spoken to him yet, besides telling him to call off his family. He was included in the Do Not Disturb on my phone. I'm enjoying the peace. I'm enjoying being by myself, just being present and aware of my feelings. Knowing my kids are safe and that I can truly take some time for myself and my mental health right now is everything. I know tomorrow I have to go back to reality and deal with everything. I promise to update when I can. I'm sorry to leave you all hanging if this isn't the update you were hoping for. I just want to enjoy this escape a little while longer while I can, before my world implodes. Thank you all, and please keep the advice coming. I truly am alone on this one and need all the advice and support I can get. Second update. I woke up this morning with a clear head. I'm still upset and disappointed. I had tons of voicemails from his family, but I don't have the energy to listen through them all. I don't care. Like I said, I'm angry, but I also feel embarrassed. I did call my husband this morning. I could tell by his voice that he hadn't slept last night, and he confirmed that he in fact did not. He told me that after the blow-up, he asked everyone to leave. He was surprised to see my mother since I had sent her to pick up the kids. He said that's when it really became real. We had a long conversation. I did apologize for exploding, for doing so when I did, and for not communicating better. He said he understands why I felt like I couldn't, and was actually glad it happened the way it did. His family finally got to see how much they have affected his home. According to him, after I left, he laid into them and told them that he could no longer be the only one helping his family out, and that a lot of the mess he's in is their fault. He said that after the blow-up, he told his siblings they needed to step up and help with their parents. His parents were obviously upset with the whole ordeal. I couldn't care less, to be honest. They couldn't believe that they are such a burden because they ask for a little help from time to time. I just rolled my eyes in disgust as he was talking. My new space, along with my feelings of hurt and anger, allowed me to speak all my truths. I had nothing left to give or lose, so I told him how I felt about everything. He sat in silence for a while, then finally broke down and said he feels like a failure. He's ashamed of the debt and how much he has let us down. He said he was exhausted and has been feeling depressed because he couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and feels as though he's ruined our future. He admitted that he goes out with his friends to feel normal and like himself because all he does is work, that he does this because of this black cloud that's been hanging over him. I wasn't my best self in this moment and told him to save me the self-pity. It's pathetic that he got himself into this mess and I'm the one digging him out. I'm freaking depressed too. There's a ton of stuff I want to do that I can't because I'm financially unable to. I went off about how, over the past 3 years, his income has gone solely to debt repayment, yet there's no end in sight, because I haven't even seen the so-called debt. I've given him my all and as much support as I could muster, but I'm angry. This isn't the life I pictured or set myself up for either. It's not the life my kids deserve. I've missed out on so much because I'm always working, always cleaning, or just so exhausted I can't even open my eyes. I told him he has no one to blame but himself. I think my disdain was concerning. He said he will show and prove that he will print out his credit report, list all his debts, provide his pay stubs, bank records, and receipts of what's been paid off, along with anything else I want regarding his finances. He promised me my hard work was not in vain and that he is almost debt-free. Come to find out, his parents opened credit cards and bills in his name when he was younger and accrued close to $100,000 of debt in his name, not including interest. They trashed his credit, and that's why it has taken so long. According to him, he has been fighting with the collection companies to settle, trying to consolidate or get a lower interest rate, as it was multiple companies and debts. What I didn't know is that some of the debts were so bad that his wages were being garnished. He was in tears and said he didn't know how to tell me, that he didn't even know the full extent of what they had done. He was basically working all these hours with nothing to take home to us, accruing more debt just to survive. I stayed silent. My blood was boiling. He didn't even realize he'd just helped me make my decision. He jokingly said my outburst took care of the family situation, and that was why he texted me loud and clear, meaning he and his family got the message. I told him I didn't find it funny. It's a shame that it took an outburst from me for everyone to hear what I've been saying all along. That he's an idiot for not filing charges against his parents, just taking it up the ass and allowing it to ruin my life and the lives of the children we created. I told him he's spineless, and I feel so stupid. He said he didn't call me because he knew how mad I was and was scared he would say the wrong thing, just like that. I thanked him for his honesty and the conversation, but I told him I am so broken, angry, and hurt right now that I can't even pick up my own pieces, let alone his. Right now, I need to clear my head. He said he's willing to do whatever it takes to turn this around. He even suggested marriage counseling. He told me he used his PTO and took the rest of the week off to work on this. I lost it and sobbed uncontrollably. If it was that easy to take time off, why now and not then? I asked him, why didn't I matter before we got here? Why now? I told him he needs the time off to find counseling, both personal and legal, that I won't be coming home. He asked me if I was serious. He begged me to rethink my decision. He said all the things I've been wanting to hear. He asked me where I was going to go. What about the kids? The house, the bills, that I couldn't tear the kids away from the only home they know. I simply replied, I know this is what needs to be done, and I've already set the ball in motion. He hung up on me. I cried, then went to get the kids. We are going to have a wonderful week in a somewhat fancy hotel, swim in the pool, order room service, and make some memories. I took some of the money I had saved in my rainy day fund and extended my hotel stay to include me and the kids. I have an awful lot to catch up on with them. The look on their faces when I said, no, mommy doesn't have to work tonight, was priceless. I also have an appointment with legal consultants tomorrow. Hopefully, I can talk to a lawyer and figure out what's next. Wish me luck, everyone, and thanks again. Good Lord, what a mess. I can honestly say that I was not expecting OP to go the divorce route. They don't usually go for that right away on these posts. Proud. This is a case of walk-away wife syndrome. She didn't explode until she was all the way done. He's used to attending to only the kettle that's screeching, so he ignored her steadily boiling away for years. When she finally screeched, he thought he could transfer a little attention her direction for a while, but no, it was already too late. Yep, kettle is empty. All the water boiled away and the bottom is ruined. No way to repair or salvage it. You know, a lot of things I could forgive. A lot. But the fact that he is crying about having so much debt and feeling like such a failure, yet he can take himself on little vacations, while his wife continues to literally slave away with no breaks whatsoever, it just screams that he doesn't love her. If he did, those vacations would have been for them, him and his wife, because he would have wanted to make sure she got a break as well. Instead, it was all about him. It was all about his parents. His wife and kids are just there, being taken care of by his wife, while he still has the mentality of being his parents' son first and foremost. This situation is too much to salvage. I think he can improve and be a better man and husband, but not for OP. She has suffered too much, and I just can't imagine she would ever be able to heal enough to trust him again. He didn't treat her as a partner. He needs to be single for a while and sort out his mess before he is good for anyone. I sincerely hope, from the bottom of my heart, that he gets into very intense therapy, so someone can give him the tools he needs to fix his seriously messed up mentality. I don't know if he is willing. It would involve going low to no contact with his parents. But for the sake of his kids, and for his sake, I hope he does. And I hope for OP a quick and easy divorce and custody agreement. Last story. Am I the a-hole for setting up a camera in my boyfriend's room to catch his sister stealing my stuff and now refusing to go back to their house? So, my boyfriend lives with his mom and sister. And since we live close to each other, I used to leave a lot of my stuff at his place to avoid hauling it back and forth all the time. You know, the usual: shampoo, conditioner, skincare, even some clothes. Over time, I started noticing little things going missing. At first, I thought I was just being forgetful. I have ADHD, so losing track of my stuff isn't exactly unheard of. But then, the incident happened. I had just bought a brand new 1-liter bottle of Wella conditioner because hair care is serious business. A week later, almost half of it was gone, which made zero sense because 1, I had also bought the matching shampoo, and 2, I always use more shampoo than conditioner. Yet somehow, the conditioner had vanished at twice the speed, and within a week, nearly half of it was gone. Meanwhile, my shampoo bottle, same size, was totally fine. Meanwhile, my boyfriend's sister, who had previously been complaining about needing to buy conditioner all the time, suddenly wasn't. So, after a few more of my things mysteriously vanished, I decided I needed proof. I set up a camera in my boyfriend's room, facing the spot where I kept my stuff, and waited. And oh boy did I get proof. Not only did his sister go through my things multiple times, but she also rummaged through my personal bag. Like, straight up opened it and looked inside. Twice. And who knows how many other times she did it before I caught her on camera. At this point, my boyfriend and I agreed we needed to confront her. We told his mom first, hoping to handle it civilly. His mom called his sister into the room and we showed her the footage. And this girl with a straight face lied to our faces, even with video evidence. And then somehow I became the bad guy. His mom completely turned the situation against me, saying I had no right to put a camera in their house without her permission. Right, because catching someone stealing my things is worse than, actually stealing? Then, because apparently that wasn't enough, she decided to throw in, "It's always your trauma and your ADHD, so you're never wrong." I took a deep breath, kept my cool, and said, "I'm gonna leave now because this conversation is no longer rational. But go ahead and make me the villain, so you can keep letting your daughter avoid responsibility." Then I walked out. His mom never apologized, and I feel bad because my boyfriend is very emotional and isn't eating well. He says he doesn't feel hungry, and the way his mom said harmful things to me really hurt. So I'd like to ask you guys, am I the a-hole for setting up the camera? A short edit to include some information. 1. My boyfriend knew about the camera. 2. My boyfriend and I are both 27. His sister is 20 or 21, I'm not sure, and his mom is 58. 3. His sister has the means to buy her own conditioner. She gets what would be like $300 monthly from her dad and uses her dad's credit card. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole, but I advise you to never go to your boyfriend's house again. If he didn't stand up for you while his mother disrespected you, I advise you to break up. You will never be his priority, and he will make you feel guilty for defending yourself. He absolutely did. He pointed out everything wrong about the situation and how we wouldn't have any evidence if it wasn't for the camera. His sister would have denied, and I would be the bad guy either way. And as you have discovered, if you are a thief, you are a liar. They go hand in hand. I agree with others. Do not go back there. Let boyfriend come to your place. That's what we're doing. He's coming to my place.